And just so, look, it's very difficult sometimes with AI. What you put into it is what you get out of it. But practical use for SEO has been the structuring of articles. Everyone, welcome back for another weekly update. Today we're going to just get straight into things now and get into the news. But before we do, I suppose, Mark, you had someone new starting school. First day?
Sophie started junior infants there on Wednesday.
Oh, exciting
Big
time.
day, big days all around. She's actually a little nerd. She gave herself homework on Wednesday, but she's loving it so far. It's nice. Not a bother on her. And then Emily
Epically.
started preschool, so she literally moved from the downstairs to the upstairs creche. But she's as excited.
It's a big
Going
move.
off she does to be copying Sophie, so she's gone off with her little school bag with nothing in it, But yeah, it's nice. Big week
Very
all
good.
around.
Okay. What we got?
So first up there is a August spam update that Google just released. This is a side note, but this must be how Google sees itself. When I was putting the slides together, I asked Gemini to make an image of a Google bot searching for spam content, and it came back with like a Terminator style image. But it rolled out the August spam update. This started on the 28th of August. It's a global update, and Google said it's going to take a few weeks to complete. Outside of the update release, they haven't really said much. Like, they haven't gone into detail about like types of content that they're going to be targeting or any kind of tactics, SEO tactics that they'll be targeting.
I was going to say there, I saw there was a viral tweet went up from a fellow called Nathan Hake.
Okay.
I saw it on Twitter. He put up and he said, I'd like to report a spammer for this spam update, and it's called the AI overviews. And he put it's coming up number one for a ton of queries and violates all of Google's own policies. No first-hand experiences, use extensive automation, no expertise, primarily summarizes what others have written. And the screenshots of all those exact things that Google calls out for penalization of its guidelines.
That's so clever. I never thought of it.
Yeah, that's right.
No fairness, he does it down, but it'll probably take 2 weeks to roll out, was it?
Yeah, it usually takes a couple of weeks, doesn't it? That's kind of been the trend. So, I mean, best course of action, as always, just follow what Google says. Kind of stay in line with their spam policies and their content quality guidelines, and you should be fine. There's going to be probably a lot of volatility maybe for some sites, less for others over the next couple of weeks. So just keep an eye on your search console trends, look at competitors, and I mean, you would be kind of looking for groups of keywords, Cian, right, rather than just individual pages.
We don't. The big thing with the spam updates is, look, it's always good to do what Google says, but we just don't react.
Yeah.
You don't make quick call to actions or start republishing stuff just because you've lost rankings for a certain period. It can take a little bit of time for it to for the rankings to narrow out. And look, there's other things going to be happening now outside of the spam update, which is all the changes that Google are making to their own individual platforms. So it might not be a spam update that affects your website. It could actually just be the fact that Google are testing AI overviews or AI summaries or in AI mode. So don't be too rash to do anything.
Cool.
All right. So what's this one?
Oh, this one. I put this in because I thought it was interesting. This Google has basically come out and said that when you upload a sitemap into Search Console, it doesn't guarantee that it'll be crawled immediately and or quickly. This kind of spun out of a question from a guy on the tech SEO community on Reddit. So he had updated some of his URL slugs, and he asked John Mueller I think he asked the community, but John Mueller, from Google search, came back. But he asked if just uploading your sitemap.xml was okay, or did you need to update all individual sitemaps that included the kind of changed URLs, because he had kind of concerns about his pages being re-indexed. So John Mueller came back and said it's totally fine to submit the individual ones, but you don't really need to. That the sitemap.xml is enough. But interestingly, he said that uploading your sitemap, it doesn't guarantee everything is going to be recrawled immediately or quickly, and that there's no specific time frame for recrawling a site for Google. And he recommended, using the search inspection tool to.
And at the moment, you can do about 11 of those a day. From what I
Yeah.
heard the last time, unless you're paying for the API. Which,
So I guess for an SEO, like for peace of mind, you would probably want to update your main sitemap and all your other sitemaps, just so you're not leaving it to Google to come back and crawl your pages.
Yeah.
And then the set time frame, and it's a bit strange. And I guess if you have any important pages you want indexed, to just use that inspection tool. But like you said, just be aware you can't use bulk uploads, and you're only limited to 11 a day, is it?
Yeah. Something like that anyway, but they can't change. Oh. I did notice this one in the news, all right, the decline.
So a lot of sites been reporting like a massive drop in crawls coming from Search Console, and like the index in the pages. So this seems to be, again, pinpointed back to about August 8 was when a lot of people started noticing it was happening, and it happened across like different platforms. And I think even Bing was showing similar behaviors. So this has since been confirmed by Google as it's an internal issue on their side. So it's not a reporting thing, it's an actual crawl issue with Google. Apparently it was a reduced fluctuating crawling issue. So it's been resolved now, but I suppose you should still go into Search Console, check your crawl stats, and see if you have been affected by any big drops.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good idea, but hopefully it kind of sorts itself.
Yeah.
This is just a quick little one I threw in at the end there. So this article is about Google wants to show more links in AI mode. So obviously we haven't got AI mode yet, but I think we were talking one week there there was a study, I think it was on Ahrefs maybe, about the amount of clicks that the links in AI overviews are getting. So I just thought there was
not a lot.
Not a lot, yeah. So they're obviously probably seeing that. So they're trying to add basically more links in different ways into AI mode, maybe into AI overview as well. But I think it's more kind of like inline stuff. So what this guy Robbie Stein here in Google said is that people really prefer and are more likely to click links that are embedded within AI mode responses. So I think like inline ones and stuff, like there's just more information, maybe it's easier to click. But it's clearly an issue at the minute how little clicks those links are getting.
But even when you click the link, it just opens it on the right-hand side, so then you have to take another action to go to the page,
Yeah, it's as good as hidden, to be honest, in AI overviews. Like, it's very bad.
And isn't that another Google thing, Kim, where it should take the least amount of clicks as possible?
Yeah, well, that's not the case, is it? That's ridiculous, but that's the way it goes.
Breaking their own rules.
Yeah. It's, as I said before, I believe in the future there's going to be a huge amount of antitrust things on this and competitiveness, and it only comes to a stage when is Google going to block a lot of these people from actually, or are going to block Google from using their website. That's going to be the main thing anyway. But yeah, something to keep an eye on. But we'll see how this goes. On to the deep dive of the week. So I actually have a few bits prepared for this, so I'll actually share screen. But there's something to always think about when it comes to your AI overviews. Sorry, not AI overviews. To planning the structure of an article. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to actually take the use of AI and see if we can actually have. It's practical use of AI really for creating an article, right? So I'm going to share my screen here. I'm going to open up ChatGPT, and it's like, this is just some really cool practical use for AI. That's something that we use regularly now. And just so, look, it's very difficult sometimes with AI. What you put into it is what you get out of it. But practical use for SEO has been the structuring of articles, not necessarily the writing, because we have to make sure it's humanized, has a lot of valuable information in there. But here's a prompt that we prepare for something. So I'm going to act as a content marketing specialist for a self-storage company. My goal is to get blog article ideas that are helpful to our customers and improve. So I've done this. Basically, I put in our target audience and please generate 20 engaging blog post ideas. So this is like step one, excellent prompt, but you have to say, I know it's good to have your own originality and come up with your own creative timing, but sometimes when clients don't have a huge budget, look how fantastic this is to just come up with some quick ideas on the fly. And just like we have with the prompt, it's people moving house, families and decluttering, university students, small business owners. They're kind of the top ones, but like straight away we have these fantastic article ideas that we can put into play, run past the client and see which ones they like. But like, we would have had to charge people a lot for our time for doing this. But now what's happening is, I suppose, in the agency space as well, business owners are getting so much more out of us because, you know, we're able to use these kind of things and focus more on the creation than the implementation and actually making a difference. So this is a really good feature, but just a really good practical tip. But now I'm going to show you how to structure an article. And I don't know, has anyone used the autonomy of a prompt? We have this I have this infographic there, and I thought this was pretty cool to show. But the autonomy of an effective prompt is basically key components always have the directive, a task, the context, the persona, the format, examples, constraints, you know, and just some, you know, from vague to valuable. And they're just some tips that we have put in place whenever we're looking at creating a prompt. But now that we have our blog ideas, I've created another prompt here. And again, this is a pretty extensive prompt into how to create an article outline. So this is one I have pre-prepared, and it's actually took a little bit of time to prepare this one, but again, I'm telling it the directive, who to ask us, professional copywriter, the article title. So we've done it based off some of the ideas above, the target audience, and we're looking for a specific area as well. I just said Middleton. I don't even know if there is a place in Middleton, but look, we've put in our core keywords, our home organization, the detail, the structure from an SEO point of view. And I've also put in about the hook. So you can see this prompt in itself is like extremely detailed.
Yeah.
But now I can come in and say, right, give me an idea. And now instead of it going off in different ways, it's going to create an entire outline for me. So this is everything we need to do. So now, before I even go and create the article, I have everything kind of planned out. And of course, we should be adding in an extra section, which is our own advice, our own unique stats. We can give some stats on what type of people and all the different sizes that might be putting in. But this article itself is, you know, the ultimate decluttering checklist for Middleton families. And then, of course,
cool.
Look, it's not a direct, this will be more of an informational type post, but then, you know, now there's a one if someone's looking to declutter, well, maybe it's a good idea to use the storage space. So great way of a practical way of using AI. But again, you can see the detail of the prompts that we have to put into it to make sure that it gives out the right things. It's not create an article structure for a decluttering post. You know, you want to give it really good context so that it does fantastic. But like that is a practical use of AI. So just a quick deep dive on that this week. But yeah. I don't know if there's any other ideas you had on it, but
it definitely saves you time in the long run. I feel like to spend that little bit extra time on the prompt, it can be easy to fall into like just rushing them.
Yeah.
But like that, it really it pays to put a bit of extra thought into.
We'll get back to our weekly. So the shallow deep dive of the week.
So yeah, this is the shallow one. So a bit of a lighter one. So basically, I just thought this was funny because I was looking up a few articles, and there was one here. So what are Labubus and how did they get so popular? So I don't know if you've heard about these, but they're these little teddies that are just after kind of like skyrocketing in price. I think they took off from I think some kind of K-pop group, what kind of was all the time, and they basically clip onto bags. It seems to be the main use for them, from what I can tell. But like,
I saw one of the tennis players, is it Osaka, in the US Open,
yeah,
had like a blinged out one.
yeah, and I think 'cause some are more rare, making them more expensive. But I thought it was just so funny. Then a few articles down, then didn't I see Labubu Thieves steals $30,000 worth of merchandise? Yeah, I think that was probably bound to happen at some stage when these.
In fairness to thieves, they keep up with the trends.
Is this kind of like a Beanie Baby thing? Remember them?
Yeah,
It seems like it.
yeah, it's very similar. It feels like there's always kind
How
of
much is one?
something.
I don't know.
Some of them are hundreds.
Oh, God.
It all depends on the rarity, I think, of them. So I think some are probably very readily available,
They have the
yeah,
limited edition one.
yeah,
Probably one will turn into an NFT or something. And
exactly. Yeah, it all leads back to NFTs.
oh,
But yeah. So and then this is the marketing tip of the week. So just best times to post on social media. So I think we found as well recently when posting on social media, it can be easy to kind of just throw them up a bit willy nilly, like whatever time you kind of make them. But it's good to be strategic with the times you post them because, like, yeah. So even like you could read these ones here, but they're not even basically every platform has its own kind of times they're best for, and there's loads of guides on the internet for the best times to post. But like even just like an obvious one, like an example would be like something like LinkedIn now, like people are more likely to use it, during working days, even during business hours. So it's like it might not be the best time to post on LinkedIn on a Sunday morning when people aren't
Yeah.
thinking of work and they aren't on LinkedIn. But that's just one example. But if you dive into it deeper, and there's loads of articles online about this. Each one kind of has the best times. So you find a lot of them is the morning,
yeah.
time, and then some like Instagram as well, evenings, and then like funny things like Wednesdays in particular seem to be the best days in general.
We
Um,
actually went through a kind of a conversion analysis of best times when conversions were happening. We were looking at analytics and we were looking at Google Ads, and yeah, it was like 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock in the evening was like one of the best conversion metrics for fashion and for skincare and beauty. And on the men's side of things, we were helping out. I was recently doing a consultation for a golf retail, and yeah, a lot of their like golf clubs were being bought at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. Probably after someone had a bad round.
yeah, yeah. That's the other thing too. It's like you can be specific to platform, but like you can actually probably be even specific to industry. Like so, some industries are probably more likely to be searching that in the morning, or like you said, in the evening. So like I think the message is to just be strategic, and don't kind of just throw them up at any old time. Um, but
Yeah, no, very good. Where's that one from Sprout Social? Yeah, that's actually they have some nice, nice information on it. Okay, great. And helpful tool of the week.
Okay, so this week we've gone with AnswerThePublic. So this is kind of a search listening and keyword research tool. It uses Google's auto-complete suggestions, and then it gives you a visual map, which is a really kind of cool looking visual map of what people are searching for. So you give it a keyword like a seed word. So I don't know, SEO consultant and Cove, and then it'll bring up all the questions, comparisons, phrases that people put into Google related to that topic.
And they have looks like they have Instagram, Amazon, YouTube, TikTok,
Yeah,
Bing. They have a few different platforms.
like it's very very handy for content ideas and stuff like that. So instead of like guessing what
Yeah.
people want to know or what they're looking for, it gives you like the exact questions, and like it can help
Three
you
free
find.
searches.
Pardon?
3 free searches as well.
Yeah.
Let's
So
sign
I'll
up for the
say
free.
like for there's obviously like a big plan for bigger organizations and stuff, but for small businesses or if you're like someone on your own, you get 3 free searches a day, and it keeps your search history on the free plan. So like it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sign up for the free plan. It's great. Great marketing tactic. And Neil Patel owns that one. Yeah. He also owns Uber Suggest.
Oh, okay.
What have we got here then?
So the trends of the week, lot going on this week. I think probably the biggest was Grimsby Town
Oh, beating United.
beating United. Yeah.
A couple of United fans in my Facebook groups are not happy.
Not
Or
happy at
WhatsApp
all.
groups. Yeah.
But
And
like
then,
over 100,000 plus for that is crazy.
yeah, can you scroll over right there, King? Can you see the full? Like the trend is ridiculous. It's just a
Yeah, that's going to
spike,
happen.
you know.
The
And
poor goalkeeper got an absolute rinsing online, all right.
Yeah, they all are.
but then yeah, CEO points spiking. There's a lecture picnic. Is that this weekend or next weekend?
That's this weekend. Yeah.
This weekend, yeah. The storm.
That's why everyone's looking at the storm.
Travis Kelsey is in there because the whole Taylor Swift thing.
I heard their nickname today, Trailer.
Trailer, brilliant.
Travis and Taylor.
That's quite good.
That is good.
Oh my god. All right.
So we got a few Ask the Experts questions here, so we're gonna just go through a few. So our first one is, why is keyword research so foundational to successful SEO strategy?
Yeah, look, keyword research is, without it, you're kind of flying blind, really, and you might be going down a strategy route that you don't know is going to work with keyword research. It just narrows that gap of going down the wrong direction and just making sure you're optimizing for the right keywords. So you need to know what people are searching for to show up. Now, keyword research is changing massively. It's not like it was where it's like, oh, here's the keyword, my short tail one that gets 1,000 searches. It's changing now because people are looking at more competitive keywords. They're looking at like the long tail and the how-tos, the wheres, which aren't as competitive. Because when you start a brand new website, as an example, you're not going to show up for a short tail, high competitive keyword. So that's where your long tail will come in, where you might be answer, like if we're an SEO company, you might type in something, if I'm starting a website, what's the best way to rank in Google? You type in the long tail version, and if you answer that specifically, you have a much higher chance of ranking in search results, rather than typing in something like, keyword research or how to rank in Google. So you want to have your foundation, and you want to keep a record of it, and really a discussion with your key stakeholders around what the top keywords are and what they think will work for the business. A lot of the times what we'll do is, if we're working on any Google ad campaigns, we'll have a look and see which keywords are converting in Google ads, and then bring it into the SEO strategy as well, because we know those are converters, not just informational queries.
Cool.
So, what's the role of Google Analytics and Google Search Console in an SEO strategy?
So they both kind of do slightly different things, but you need them both to get like a full picture of how you're doing. So Google Search Console will tell you how people got to your website. It'll tell you how you're performing on Google itself and how people found you, and if there's any kind of technical issues stopping you from being indexed or stopping your pages from being shown in Google. Whereas Google Analytics shows you what people do once they're on the site. So once they click through, it'll show you what pages they visited, how long they stuck around for, what actions they took while they were on the site. So you kind of need them both to get a better picture of how all aspects of your SEO and your website work together. So, for example, you could go into Search Console and it might tell you that 100 people found and clicked on your page from, say, I don't know, SEO consultant Ballincollig. So that's brilliant. Looks great. But then you go to analytics and you see that 95 out of those 100 people left your site within the first 7 seconds. So then you can see how they got there. You can see what they did there, and like the combination tells you that your SEO is working, but maybe the page isn't up to scratch to meet the expectation of what people are searching for. So that's kind of why you would use them both in an SEO strategy.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, the Google search is literally, the console is just telling you about what's happening on Google. Google Analytics is telling you everything that's happening on your website. So it's all about the engagement, how people got there from other sources. But yeah, that's great, Mark.
All right, up next. So I think you probably kind of touched on it there in the first one, Keane, but what's the difference between short tail and long tail keywords, and when should you use each of them?
So the short tail will be, if we're typing in, an example of short tail keyword might be SEO consultant. We'll stick on that topic. That's your short tails, 2 words. People might just type it in, but that's not what everyone will type in. Other people will go and they'll type in something like, what does an SEO consultant do? How much does an SEO consultant cost? What, I don't know, why is an SEO consultant important? Do I need an SEO consultant for my website? Those are 4 examples of long tail keywords compared to your short tail. And generally you'll have both in your organic strategies. So if you're using your short tail is always more competitive, and a lot of people will always try and rank under there because we're just trained to think that SEO consultant, as an example, would be more competitive. Maybe people are a bit lazier with typing in, and of course, if you go to Google and type it in, there's the autocomplete pops down in the search results. So that's your short tail. But your long tail, less competitive. You can be more specific in the content creation. Great way of finding some long tail keywords is going to the people also ask. But there's a new kind of feature of long tail keywords or search coming into play, and that's because of not because of search engine trends, but because of the LLM trends and the AI trends. So AI search is, people are tending to give big, massive prompts now, where there's a study done, I think it was 148 characters was the average of a prompt in search for people. And a lot of it is down to a lot of people are using the speech function on LLMs because they don't want to type it in. So that's the real difference anyway. But I'd have each incorporated into a strategy. You start with your long tail, but your short tail should be your pillar page, really, in most cases.
Okay. So, Mark, what is a canonical tag and when should you use one?
Okay, the best explanation I think I've ever seen for this came from a guy in a Reddit thread on or Tech SEO. So he described it as, you're dating a girl called Sally, and Sally has 3 identical sisters, and you can't tell any of them apart. So you get them all to wear t-shirts, and the sisters wear a t-shirt with an arrow pointed to Sally, and Sally wears a t-shirt saying, "I'm Sally." It's yeah, it's a nice way to kind of look at it. It's a canonical tag. It basically tells Google and other search engines that of all the pages on my site that look like this one, this is the URL that's the original and the one I want you to focus on. So instead of kind of splitting your SEO value across a lot of kind of similar or identical pages, it just consolidates everything into the one page that you want to rank.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
Yeah, that's good. When would you use it? Like for e-commerce sites where you'd have a lot of kind of similar products, or if you're kind of filtering
Variations,
color, yeah.
sizes, and perfect.
And like by changing a page, it goes to like a slightly different URL. There's kind of like, I'm trying to think off the top of my head here. Say for tracking your UTMs, like it's a big thing in email marketing. You'll have like a UTM to tell you like which marketing campaign it's a part of. So that UTM changes the URL. So there you would put like a canonical to point back to the original URL. If you have like a print friendly version of a page, Keen, that's something, isn't it? You would put the canonical back to the original.
Yeah.
Or like a lot of sites have a www dot and then like a www.website.com or just website.com address. So again, you would use the canonical to point to the main version, which is probably the www.
And URLs can have an ending / and a non-ending. So you choose in your canonical which one you want to have as well. So yeah, perfect.
Okay. So, what's a simple way for a small business owner to get started with SEO without a huge budget?
Well, look, the main thing is where do you start with it? Like without a huge budget, it like a lot of the time, especially with AI now, it's not costing as much to help with your content creation. And look, a lot of industries don't like AI content is actually doing quite well. Let's take it as is the content helpful? That'd be one thing. So let's take a stove installation specialist or someone selling stoves in Cork as an example. If you type that into Google, most of the companies and most of the pages just have like a couple of sentences. They don't go in. But then we did one for a company and we had just a couple of pieces of AI content, but it was so much more helpful. We talked about the size, the differences in the types of stoves, the why ones have different costs. That one did absolutely fantastic and very low budget, you know. So creating pieces of content is a great way to get started. Creating blog articles, making sure that your tech is right. Like the most expensive part of SEO is probably getting your website set up. You know? Outside of that, it's just about building creativity and building stuff online, and investing a small bit in offline promotion wherever you can. That could be putting your website under simple business directories, but it could be doing small little bits of digital PR. But yeah, the simplest way for an owner could be to do that is just reach out to us and we'll point them in the right direction. Because there's it's not like it was in the past where there's writers that, no, it does happen. If you want the top quality writers, of course, they're still charging. But the use of AI now is probably the simplest answer for this. You don't have a huge budget. You can rely on that until you have the budget to rely on good creative and proper staff to kind of go through and do these things for you. But yeah, that's the simplest way.
Cool.
Okay, perfect.
Right.
Thank you to the experts.
All right, guys. Great week. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, see you later, lads. Thanks for that.
Cheers, lads.